I'm impressed y'all got it out yesterday. Actually, I was fully expecting that before the meeting meant that like 20 minutes before the meeting starts. Surprise!
No, we've been working to get the different, the different parts of everything nailed down for a little bit. Part of it was getting the regions up and making sure they spawned on the map so people could get to them, etc. So we've been incrementally going down the list and getting everything prepared. So yesterday was a lot of fun. Well, yeah, it's fun for you because you've got your dance crew over there. Well, yeah, it's fun for you. Yes, you did. It really is. Now you know why I've been laughing and having so much fun testing it.
I
Somebody over there had taken the the testing male avatar and made it gigantic. I could see it from like 3 regions away.
I don't know if Dan's here, but
He should be
that
soon.
yeah, that script he wrote that was a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah.
What region are these scripts available in? Because the box in the adult region doesn't have any scripts in it.
I was ripping it out of the Raptor.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
I took out of the raptor and out of the human guy.
A lot of love to the moles that worked on this. Uh, you know, that was one of the things that was most important to us was making sure you had full perm items to test with. So they were really great at helping us with that.
Well, looking at Dan's script, we just Linden Lab just released this game for Second Life and stuff. Well, imagine, I mean, with just a little bit of work with that script, you could have a grid-wide system for animals that, like, larger animals could hunt out smaller animals and eat them or whatever. And
Can you
people,
imagine what the main grid would look, or the main continent would look like now?
oh God, it'd be so alive, and people
People
would
might
make
actually want to go there.
crazy things like ants that could kill elephants and stuff, and the owners could, allow that ant or not or whatever.
Well, there you go. There's a project for something.
You know, I didn't
And
see a
that's why
lot.
we have an adult region that you can't see from the other regions for testing.
I didn't see a lot of issues with script time and everything. I mean, there's like dozens of them running around, hundreds, and
To
the
be
script
honest,
time was
that might
still
actually
hot.
be because it's on the beta grid that doesn't have the whole mainland lagging it.
Well, um, pathfinding doesn't take script time.
Right, it does something weird where it's like embedded in the prim.
Yeah, it's once you set it, then it's using the physics.
I don't know if it's true. Someone told me that all of Second Life is a lot laggier than it should be because of a lot of the mainland sims are dragging everything else down.
I don't really think so.
Like,
Each sim doesn't really affect the others. My computer's not lagging your computer.
the way they phrased it was that griefers had rezzed some like laggy items on them, and they were just constantly polling the other sims in the asset server and it was bringing the whole grid down. But again, I don't know if it was true.
Well, that's a possibility. Well, I went to that sim with all the things running around. I didn't check my FPS, but I didn't really experience any lag.
Hi, Veer.
Hey, folks. Well, let's see. I should have a pretty short meeting this week since nothing's really happening. Let's see. No, I can't think of anything. Oh, wait, Animesh. So, yeah, I guess everybody's probably heard by now that we're out on Project Viewer on Aditi, and I've seen a lot of folks playing around with it already and commenting in the forum, so that's all great. We had some questions about, are we going to move to the beta grid for meetings, and I think we will. Alexa's actually set up a meeting area for us there, so we'll probably decamp there next week. We can I'll post the link in the. Actually, I'm not sure do we have a meeting next week? I think we do. Anyway, I'll post the link in the content creators wiki. Lexi, do you happen to have the link handy on that one? I can post it here if anybody remembers. I think I've got that in chat somewhere. Oh, here it is.
Here we go. Jinx!
Yeah, alright, that's the one. All right. Well, I've already seen some good comments and questions in the forum. So we can basically talk whatever people want to talk about. Alex, anything you want to start us off with?
No, it's just talking to people a little bit about their experiences. I think that's it. We were kind of just catching up before the meeting.
All right. Well, I guess we're in open discussion then. I'll just a little bit of context. You know, we've got these test regions set up on Aditi, and so the goal here really is just to shake out the functionality. You know, find bugs, find workflow issues. You know, people try to do some, create a vehicle or do some other type of thing, and they run into issues. You know, we want to identify those kinds of things. So you know, the more different things that people try with Animesh during the test period, you know, the better our chances are that we'll wind up with a good design that'll work well when we go to release. So, you know, feel free to exercise it different ways and let us know how it goes. So how's it going so far?
I can foresee a lot of people whining about not being able to access the beta grid.
What are the issues with the beta grid access?
I don't know about currently, but a few months ago it was impossible to gain access if you didn't already have access. like the methods of getting your account transferred over to the beta grid just didn't work.
Yeah, as Worley said, all you need to do is fill a support ticket, and it's a very, very quick, very quick thing they can fix. I did that for Aki the other day.
I enjoyed
Let's see.
playing around with it so far. It was very, very easy to set up. The main issues I was seeing was with height control and how it discovers or how it determines how the Animesh's feet are going to be on the ground. I was saying that we noticed that when you attach an Animesh, it will lower your avatar into the ground and raise you back up when you detach it. So it's overriding some avatar height offset somewhere because there are like 4 different places that happens.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that one's just kind of a
and
pain. It's actually a problem with the baking service. The baking service tries to fix up your height based on your attachments, your attached meshes, but it doesn't realize that an Animesh attachment is a different thing that it should just be ignoring for purposes of height control. So we actually to fix that whole crouching thing, we actually have to change the baking service. So we'll try to do that, but that's why it hasn't happened already. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt you.
And I was also I was testing a dragon I have and a cat I have. The dragon is a bento attachment that's rigged to the finger bones. It was sunk way, way down in the ground, and I'm not as shocked or worried about that because the rig on it is so funky, but it does attach at a normal height on an avatar, and it did not as an Animesh, so that was a little bit confusing to me. And my cat, which has its feet on the ground as an avatar, when I started playing, when I resed the mesh on the ground as a regular mesh, and then made it an animesh and put an animation on it, it would sink down a little bit. Whereas when I put in the Raptor pathfinding scripts, it would shoot way up into the air. So there were some kind of height issues going on, and I understand pathfinding is its own problem entirely, but so far those are the main things that I was noticing.
Yeah, I don't know much about the pathfinding. The height control thing. Just for standalone animeshes, it's trying to match the skeleton root position to what it thinks the object position is. So I'm hopeful that there's a kind of a viable workflow for getting things kind of lined up properly just at the sort of authoring stage with meshes, but that will be something we'll want to figure out as there's more testing against it.
Well, that kind of leads to a question, though. Is the point that we should be able to take an avatar and res it on the ground and it's Animesh? Or is the point just to make things Animesh? So if the point is that you can take your avatar and res it on the ground, then it seems to me that there's like an offset missing. And that's why the height is all screwed up on everything. Like Animesh doesn't have the same initial offset that the avatar has.
My two
Yeah,
cents on
but I
that
think the
is,
joint
oh,
positions are affecting that too, aren't they?
my 2 cents on that thought would be that I feel like it's more prudent to design an Animesh to be an Animesh just because you could potentially have so many of them on a region and be such a high source of lag. However, because Animesh is so easy to set up right now, it's just a checkbox. I think that a lot of people are going to want to take their avatars and just check a checkbox and have it be an Animesh, and that's going to be a workflow they're going to want to follow.
Yeah, and if it turns out that we can kind of keep the barrier to entry low and get things so that they behave reasonably, even if you're starting out with an existing avatar, then I think I think we'd like to find the way to do that. But it is possible that we're going to wind up with some cases where you you can't really tweak everything without looking at it at the kind of mesh upload stage. I think that may be kind of an open question at this point.
Has anyone pointed out yet that the checkbox for turning an object into an animated mesh object kind of works as a pay no attention to the rigging on this object button? So like you can use rigged stuff as unrigged stuff with it.
Sorry, could you say that again? I'm not sure I quite got your point there.
I'm sorry. If you check the box for animated mesh object and then just don't animate it, it treats it as though it's an unrigged object, and you can, treat it like a normal prim in Second Life. I know that there are a lot of people that would really like something like that in general.
But I mean, if you don't want to animate it, you can just res a static mesh anyway, can't you?
I mean, for products you buy off the marketplace that come rigged and don't come with an unrigged version.
Yeah, I guess that's a point.
So what is up with the whole speed thing? Why, when you get further away, does everything speed up? Or looks like it does, at least.
Yeah.
Really weird.
As far as I can tell, that's a glitch in our animation system. I don't think it has anything to do with Animesh in particular. It's just, anything that's playing an animation and it's a long way away. There's some logic that tries to optimize the way stuff gets played back if it's far away so that it gets updated less often. And there's some kind of problem with the way that's implemented so that the stuff winds up kind of flailing around and looking weird. So that's as far as I've gotten with it. I don't know exactly what's causing the problem, but as far as I can tell, it's been there all along. I don't think it's actually specific to Animesh.
Is there a way to change that distance? Is that based on LOD or?
Yeah, you probably. We just need to do more investigation on it. We should either get the optimization to work as intended, or we should just get rid of that check. But clearly, it's not kind of behaving as intended now.
On the other hand, I thought it was really, really funny to see the really low LOD animeshes at a distance, like moving really fast and looking goofy with verts going everywhere. Because you don't see the low LODs when avatars do that.
Yeah, it is really funny if you get a big group of dancers or something, and the ones in the back are all just like flailing wildly.
Our coder made a funny point that, and I've experienced this with Animesh or with pathfinding quite a bit, is like you'll put pathfinding on something, and then especially now with bento, you'll put it down on the ground and something like explodes and something goes horribly wrong. And she said, I don't know how many, but so many of the ones I rezzed, I just had to put them out of their misery.
Yep. Can this mesh be saved?
We have sacrificed quite a few cats already.
Yeah, the crash when unchecking animated mesh is definitely a thing, and it will get looked at. But we figured it wasn't a common enough workflow to be a blocker for getting it out as a project viewer.
Oh, I don't know if Oh,
something in the depths of the graphics pipeline gets unhappy and bad things happen. So we've got to track that down.
oh, I don't know if Carrie was asking this earlier, but yeah, attaching and detaching animeshes. When you detach it, it just goes back into your inventory.
Right, yeah, same as other attachments.
But the inherent problem with mesh initially too is you can't drop it on the ground. You can drop a sculpt, but you can't drop a mesh.
Yeah, we haven't done anything to change that with Animesh. That was a constraint that we already had with meshes in general.
But that brings up the point about pets. I mean, how can we have pets that are going to live in this world, and then we gotta, if we attach them, we gotta, and we detach them, we gotta take them back out of our inventory. That's not expected by the user.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's kind of a weird workflow, and we should probably put in a Jira to look into that. I don't know why the original limit was put in there. If there's some like reason why it's fundamentally hard to unattach things successfully, or if that was just a design decision at the time. But it would be worth reviewing it anyway. Oh, Roy, thanks for the link. I'll take a look at that. Let's see. Beck asked about the 90-degree rotation of visual mesh versus bounding box. Yeah, presumably it has something to do with the plus X alignment, but since this stuff goes through a bunch of different stages of, how you define it at upload time and how it gets rigged to the skeleton and how the object, gets managed on the server, and so I don't really know exactly what's going on there. Is this something where, with the right uploaded mesh, everything will just line up, or is it something where we actually have to tweak things on our end to get it to come out right? I'm not sure at this point.
Well, what's interesting about the that issue with the physics shape? Um, I'm pretty sure that mesh that I tested it on, I used the generator to generate that shape. So it kind of doesn't make sense to me that it would be so wrong.
Yeah. So what did you use to generate the shape?
Well, I used the uploader, and if you use the uploader,
Okay.
shouldn't it be correct?
Yeah. Well, one would hope, and obviously there's a bunch of differences between the way this stuff gets handled when you are displaying it as a skinned mesh, which in the past you could only do if it was on an avatar and non-physical, so the bounding box stuff didn't really matter. Versus the way that it gets handled, if it's a static mesh.
And that's part of the reason why I don't advise people to always make their own, because the generator knows the system. It's gonna, do things correctly without you even knowing how to do it. So, and when you make your own, there are certain things you have to follow and do it exactly right, or it's not going to come
Yeah.
out right anyways.
Any chance we
Yeah.
could get you a video on how to do that? Because I was unaware that there were any problems at all. Your videos are pretty great, by the way.
Yeah, I probably should cover some of the pitfalls of it all. Oh, Veer, I was telling Alexa earlier that I really like that script that Dan wrote for the pathfinding. I haven't even gone through it really. I mean, I've just played with it a little. But I mean, that's so interesting for a grid-wide like system for like animals that you could set up where larger animals would hunt down smaller animals, and you could have like a whole ecosystem. And if Linden Lab like wrote this little script for this system, I mean, anybody could grab it and make their little animals